Well, look who's back. Dan Ohlweiler from Sterling Financial Advisors. Dan was on tour with the remaining members of Metallica for the past few weeks. And, of course, he wears a wig when he's out there. He doesn't grow his hair long.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
How was that tour?
Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah.
Good
We were
to have you
actually
back.
on a little vacation business trip over to Europe. And so we were able to stop by in Rome for a few days, and then we ended it in Prague. So it was an interesting trip. Worthwhile going there just once, but I'm not sure I need to go back now.
Yes.
So,
all right. Well, that's good.
But we had a good time.
Nice time.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. My wife, we were initially headed to Prague, and she says, "Well, why don't we stop off on a few days in Rome?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
So no, it was good.
I think
It
that's
was
good. You know,
Yeah.
you go over there, and as I was talking to somebody the other day, you spend the money on airfare or whatever, whether you spend 3 days there or 3 weeks.
Exactly.
You might as well make the most of it.
Well, and that's kind of what we thought, you know. Somebody else actually, we had qualified for a marketing trip, and we were flying over to Prague, and she says, you know, let's see if we can't just use the budget to get into Rome. And so that's what we just spent about 5 days in Rome and did the Colosseum tour, the Sistine Chapel and everything, the Vatican and everything. So it was good.
All right.
It was good.
Right. Today we're talking about something that you know, I find really interesting, and I know there's you can look at these type of things different ways, but it's the 529, you know, the college savings programs.
Right. I know a lot of my clients that are grandparents want to set up college savings programs for their grandchildren or something. I thought maybe that's something that we could chat about today.
And I think it's a good thing because you hear both positives and negatives.
Well, you're going to pay for college one way or the other,
right.
Unless some politicians get into office, you know. But if you want to set aside these college plans, you can contribute money up to $15,000 per individual per person. So if a husband and wife have a grandchild and grandparents want to make contributions, each grandparent can contribute up to $15,000, which is the gift tax maximum for a year.
Okay.
And so they could contribute $30,000. Well, they can contribute up to $150,000 over a 5-year period. So, you know, that's a nice chunk of change that grandkids can use for college. Well, this account can grow tax-free as long as they use those funds for college expenses.
Okay.
There's 2 types of 529 plans.
Okay.
One is called a prepaid plan, where you're actually giving the money to the college. Okay. So if you want to go to UCLA or Berkeley or whatever you do, you can say, okay, I'm going to contribute this money to the college, and the child is kind of locked into that college.
Right.
Okay, so they don't have a choice as to which college they go to, and so because we've already given the money to that college. Or the other type is a college savings plan, where they can have an independent savings account, and then they can choose which college they want to go to. So it's a little bit more flexible. The nice thing about this is it's not like the Uniform Gift to Minors Acts, where you actually give money to a child and it can grow, and when they're 18 they get that money no matter what.
Right.
The college saving plan, you can actually change the beneficiary or the beneficiary's name on that. So if the child decides they want to be, you know, they want to tour Europe for 3 years and don't want to go to college, you can change one grandchild for another grandchild, you know, as long as they're making right decisions and they want to go to college. All that income and all the growth in that account can be tax-free as long as they use that for the college expenses.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
It's not parties, it's college expenses.
That's what I was going to ask. Now, obviously, if you have people who are retired, this wouldn't matter to them. But people who are not retired yet, is the money that you put in those accounts pre-tax? Or is it taxable?
No, it's taxable.
Because it grows tax-free.
And one of the things that my clients, or not all of my clients, some of my clients use is the required minimum distribution. They don't need the money. You know, what am I going to do with this? Well, I'll just take that required distribution. I have to pay taxes on it, but I'll contribute it into a 529 plan for my grandchild that can build tax-free. And so when they take that money out to pay for tuition or housing or books or whatever it is, that money is actually tax-free to the child.
Yeah.
So they use that as maybe a funding source from their IRA accounts or whatever it might be that they can put into that.
Now, what happens if maybe you only have one grandchild, they decide, I'm not going to college, and you can't transfer it to anyone else.
Right.
You've already put money into it, so I would assume however it grows, you're going to pay taxes.
If you have one grandchild and they decide not to go, you know, I don't know, maybe they're a professional athlete and they end up getting drafted out of high school or something, or, you know, but the odds of that happening are very small. But let's say that they decide not to go to high school, you would pay taxes on any of that gain if you wanted to get it back.
All right.
So,
is there a restriction on what you can invest it in?
well, generally, depending upon which type of plan you have, some are already set up by the college. If you have a personal, you know, college savings account, generally you have the mutual fund families that can give you a bunch of different mutual funds depending upon your risk tolerance.
All right, so it's like anything else.
Yeah, it's like anything else that you would have in a brokerage account. You can invest in stocks or mutual funds or whatever it might be.
So there's still the chance that you could lose money.
Oh, depending upon how aggressive or how conservative. Now, sometimes people say, "Well, I have a 5-year-old grandchild. It's gonna be 12 years before we need the money. That gives us time to take a little bit more risk." Well, that's fine if you can emotionally handle that. But at the same time, if the market ends up crashing in 10 years, and then it affects that account value at that time.
Now, as far as you mentioned, you can have two people contributing regardless of what their income may be. In other words,
well, you could have the parents contribute $15,000 each, which is $30,000, and then the grandparents contribute $15,000 each.
That's what I was gonna,
So it's not limited to, you know, just the parents themselves.
Okay,
so
that's
you could have you know, $60,000 going into this account for 2 or 3 years, and then, you know, you'd have a nice fund there to pay for your 4-year college education.
Yeah, and what about people, aunts and uncles and all that?
Well,
I mean, there's got to be a limit to some point.
Yeah, you can do it. You can change beneficiaries on this account for, I think, first cousins.
Okay.
So if your grandchild doesn't go, you can bring in a first cousin, but you can't just pick somebody off the street. Yeah. That has to be related to you.
Okay. But it's you know, it's a good way to see things grow.
In as much as sometimes our clients don't need the money from their required distributions, whether it's, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 or multiple thousands, it's a nice way to maybe fund some college education that you don't need the funds for. You know.
Yeah. Now, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to ask this one question before I forget. Are they locked in there? You can take that out. Let's say you decide the kid's not going to college, or you have some emergency. The difference is, like any investment, you're going to pay
the taxes on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like there's not a penalty on it like you'd have with an IRA.
No, you just liquidate it, and you'd have to take it as taxable.
Okay.
The growth is taxable, and you've already paid taxes on the principal.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But the purpose of this college savings plan, they call it the 529 plan, which is the IRS tax code number. But the advantage of that is you can contribute that money and it grows tax-free, and the child can use it and take it out tax-free as long as they're going to recognized college. I don't know if some
Right.
strange college is going to qualify.
Well,
but-
that, you know, that you bring up a good point, though, because of course community colleges
Right.
will qualify.
Right.
But many colleges are online now.
Right.
And you just got to make sure they are affiliated.
Right.
You know, the one you hear about is Phoenix
Right.
University, which
Right.
is totally online.
Correct.
I don't even think they have a physical. They
Right.
have offices, of course.
Right.
But so many other. So as long as it's an accredited college.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's got to be qualified college expenses.
Okay.
You know, if you know, my son's going to be taking some technical for computer programming
Right,
here in
right.
next month, and you know, the tuition is $12,000. I'm assuming that as long as it's credited and,
Okay.
and things that could be used for that. So.
All right.
Anyway, it's an option for
Yeah.
people that want to help their grandkids out. Maybe they don't know what to do with their RMDs or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an option for them.
All right. Very good, Dan.
Good.
Good to see you back. Glad you had a nice tour with Metallica. Yes. And if you want to find out all about that or anything else, Dan can help you out.
Right.
Give him a call at 949-859-8900, sterlingfa.com. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see
All right,
you.
say
Ken.
hi to everyone.
All right, take care.
We'll be right back.